Today I'm going to transform Minecraft mobs into the Italian BRAINROT character. And in addition, I'm going to build a special habitat for each of them. That's it, I managed to catch him. So I managed to unlock the iron golem here on the block bench. So first, I'm going to start by erasing all the parts of his body like this. And I'm going to start by making burr patapim by his foot, like this. Create a slightly smaller cube. Make his big toe and add the other toes. The foot is ready. Now all that's left is to make the leg. So this is already part of it. Make another piece that's a little smaller. I'm going to select everything and duplicate it to the side. I'm going to create a cube on top of the two legs to be his head. I'm going to make his right arm like this. And on top, I'm going to create a layer of leaves. In front of his head, I'm going to create a cube like this to be his face. Now, I'm going to make his nose like this. Below the face, I'm going to make his mouth. And on top, I'm going to make his eyebrows. To finish, all that's left is for me to make his hair like this. Create one more detail down here. And the character is ready. Guys, he really looks like burr patapim. I'm going to put him next to this image so I can make a comparison. And he really does look very similar. Look at that nose. This part of the fur here looks very similar on this mob. Not to mention that his foot also looks really cool. And also these leaves that I made around his entire body. Since he's an iron golem, if I hit him, he'll obviously attack me. Just look at that. He'll do a lot of damage. In fact, he killed me with just one hit. But if I kill him using my sword, he'll drop wood and leaves instead of iron. And by the way, these are the blocks I'm going to use to make his habitat. In fact, I've already separated the places where I'm going to make the habitat of each character I'm going to create in this video. And I'm going to do patapims right here. So first, I'm going to start digging a few blocks deep like this. To make the floor, I'm going to use this dirt block with roots. And to make the walls, I'm going to use a block of peeled jungle wood. And using this mod I have in Minecraft, look, I can build really quickly. So that the floor isn't just this dirt block with roots, I'm also going to use some moss blocks here. And I believe that this will make the result much more beautiful, especially because it will match this green part of burr patapim. To make this habitat even more beautiful, I'm going to place some root blocks like this. On the top of the wall, I'm going to place some irregular blocks like this. On the inside, I'm going to spread some leaves like this, as if this were a forest. And to finish, I'm going to put a fence around the entire habitat, and this is how the final result turned out, guys. Wow, this is really beautiful. By the way, the character also looks really cool inside here, and that's why my rating for the habitat will be 9 out of 10. And for burr patapim, my rating is 10 out of 10. So let's move on to the next character I'm going to create, which will be Lirily, who is this elephant with a cactus body and is wearing sandals. And the mob that I'm going to transform into him will be a horse. And here in front of me are a bunch of horses. So I need to choose one that looks very similar to him. I'm going to choose this one because it's gray like the elephant's head. But inside the 3D application, the horse ended up being white. So because of that, I'm going to erase all the parts of his body. I'm going to start by creating our character with the chest, which will be this giant cactus block. Now I'm going to create another slightly smaller cube in the back like this. I'm going to create a cube like this to be his leg. Now I just need to make a piece of the foot, and from the bottom, I'm going to make the sole of the sandal. I'm going to repeat the same thing at the back. So make the leg, create the foot, and make the sole of the sandal. Now I'm going to create the elephant's head. Create a cube like this to be his trunk. Now make the right and left ears. Create a tusk for him. Select it and duplicate it to the side. And this is how Lirily turned out in Minecraft, guys. Look how cool it is. In fact, there are a bunch of them here because they were all horses. But guys, this really turned out amazing, guys. He looks a lot like the character from Italian BRAINROT. I'm gonna put him here next to this image, and we can see that, like, this is identical because he has an elephant's head up there and a cactus body. I think I only got the size of his foot wrong because, as you can see, his foot is huge. It's bigger than his body since his foot is more proportional. Since he's a horse, can I sit on him? Go ahead, I'm going to try clicking several times. And look at this, guys. I literally hide inside him. In order to control him, I'm going to give him a golden apple. I'm going to sit on him, and I'm going to put a saddle. So now I can literally control him. And it's as if I were Lirily because I can't see my body. But now I want to have a battle between burr patapim versus Lirily. Look, burr patapim is already going after Lirily. Who do you think will win? And there's no point in arguing. Burr patapim won. So now let's choose the place where I'm going to build Lirily's habitat. And I think this place here is perfect. So I'm going to start by digging the hole a few blocks deep. I'm going to make the walls of this construction with speleothem blocks. On the ground, I'm going to use sand blocks. And so that it's not completely flat, I'm going to make a step just like I did in the previous habitat. On top of the wall, I'm going to build some irregularities, and in addition, I'm going to place some speleothems. I'm going to do the same thing on the inside of the habitat, and it's going to make it look a lot cooler. Looking from afar, this habitat is coming together perfectly. All I need to do is put in some cacti like this. To finish it off, I'm going to make a fence with glass panels, and this is the final result, guys. It really came out amazing. Even though it's simple, I really like these walls here. I made the floor and the cacti inspired by the desert biome, and that's why I I give the habitat an 8 out of 10. As for Lirily Lorilla, I give it an 8 out of 10. Comment your rating below in the comments because now we're going to move on to the next character, which will be the Ambalabu Doll. And since this character has the head of a frog with a tire body, of course, I'm going to have to capture a frog from Minecraft. So for that, I had to come to a mangrove biome, and I have to find a frog in here. I just need to walk a little bit, and they usually stay near these trees, near the water. In fact, I found one here, so I'm gonna get it. Good. And here's his 3D model. So, of course, I'm going to erase all the parts of the body. I'm going to start by making the Ambalabu Doll with the foot. Now, I'm going to create a cube like this to be the leg, select both parts, and duplicate them. I'm going to create several cubes with different angles to be able to make the tire. And for the head, I'm going to start by creating the lower part of the mouth, like this. Make another little piece here. Create the upper part of the mouth. Now, add one more detail on top. Make an eye and create the other. And our character is finally ready. And this is how the Ambalabu Doll in Minecraft turned out, guys. Look, it looks really cool. I'm gonna spawn a bunch of them here. And, in fact, there are a lot of frogs. Since the Ambalabu Doll is a frog, can I make it jump? Wait, let me hit it. Hit it. Look, nothing's happening. How do you make the frog jump? Unfortunately, it's not jumping, but if we take a look, it really does look like the Ambalabu Doll. Its head looks very similar, the tire in the middle of its body. What's up, guys? It jumped really high just now. Do they jump randomly? Let me spawn another one here. Does it jump? Unfortunately, no. It's just running away. But guys, this character looks amazing. And that's why now I have to make the habitat for it. And I'm gonna do it exactly in this place. So first, I'm gonna dig the ground. And I'm not going to make a hole. Actually, I'm going to make the floor exactly at this height. But first, I need to decide where the wall will be. That's why I'm going to use this brick block. Now I'm going to make the floor with gray terracotta. And I'm going to alternate it with concrete powder. I'm going to build the walls of this construction using this block. I'm going to make the walls all uneven. In these corners, I'm going to put sandstone slabs to simulate the sidewalk because I don't know if you noticed, but it's in the middle of a street. Now I'm going to close off the front of the habitat with fences. And to make it really look like a street, I'm going to put up some decorations. Here, I'm going to put up some tires. And this is the final result of the habitat, guys. It turned out really well. Not to mention that this street scene here turned out really cool. And the Ambalabu Doll here in the middle looks even better. So for that reason, my rating for this habitat is 8 out of 10. As for the character, it is 7 out of 10. Comment your rating below in the comments because now the next character we are going to make will be the Cappuccino Ballerina. And the mob that I'm going to transform into her will be the pink sheep. So I'm going to grab her. And here's the sheep in the 3D program. And of course, I'm going to erase all the parts of her body. I'm going to start making the Cappuccino Ballerina by the leg like this. I'm going to create a small cube to be her shoe. And since she's a ballerina, she's going to be on her tiptoes. I'm going to select everything and duplicate it to the side. Now I'm going to create a slightly larger cube to be the skirt of the dress, create a cube on top to be the chest, and make a small detail in the front. Now I just need to make the right and left arms. And for the head, of course, I need to make a cup. Now, create a slightly larger cube on top and make the handle of the cup. And now, the 3D model is ready. And this is how she looks here in Minecraft, guys. Look how cool. She has this animation of her standing still with her leg raised and her arms too. And there's also the animation of her walking. Let me hit her. Now you can see her walking animation. And as you can see, she really does look like the Cappuccino Ballerina. But there's a problem. Since her texture here in Minecraft has few pixels, her face looks a little strange, but otherwise it's very pretty. Just look at her shoes, her dress, and even the coffee inside the cup. It's really cool. Only her face looks a little strange, but otherwise I really liked it. Now let's build the habitat. I only have 2 choices, but I think the best place for me to make her habitat is right here. So that's why I'm going to break the ground and make the floor with quartz blocks. Complete this part, complete this other piece, and the walls, I'm going to make them with pink concrete. And of course, I'm going to make the top part very irregular so that it looks like the other habitats. Inside, I'm going to put some flowers like this. I'm going to put a fence in front of the habitat, and inside, I'm going to spread some boxes. To finish, I'm going to put a table with some chairs, as if it were a restaurant. And the final result of the habitat was really cool. I really like the fact that this habitat is all pink, the same color as the Cappuccino Ballerina. And that's why I gave the habitat a 9 out of 10. As for the ballerina, I gave it a 7 out of 10 because her face looked a little strange. Tell me what you thought in the comments below, because now I'm going to make the next character, which will be the Crocodile Bomber. And the mob that I'm going to transform into it will be the ghast. I had to come here to the nether, and here in front of me is the ghast, so I'm going to capture it. And now I got the 3D model of the ghast, so I'm going to erase all the parts of its body. I'm going to start making the Crocodile Bombardino from the plane. So create this first part. I'm going to make this small detail on top. I'm going to create a slightly smaller cube on the back until I reach the tail. Now I just need to add a small detail on the top and sides. Make another cube on the front of the plane. Now all that's left is to make the wing. Create a cube like this under the wing where the turbine will be and make the propellers. To avoid having to do it all over again, I'm going to select this part and duplicate it to the side. Now, on the front of the plane, I'm going to make the crocodile's head. I just need to make this top part where the eyes these are: make the lower part of the mouth, add the teeth, and finish with a small detail underneath. I almost forgot to make the bomb he carries, hanging from his neck. So, for that reason, I'm going to make a chain underneath the plane. And finally, I'm going to make several cubes until I form the missile. And that's how the Crocodile Bombardino turned out, guys. Look, it turned out really well. I put it on the ghast because the ghast flies, and so the mob will behave just like him. Not to mention that if I stay in survival mode, look, he throws fireballs as if he had thrown them, missiles that he's holding. I left the Crocodile Bombardino still, and now we can see his details better. I animated the propeller spinning, and it turned out really cool. Not to mention that I put him here, swinging the missile. And I think this character from Italian BRAINROT is the most beautiful one I've made so far. He looks very similar to the real character, and that's why I need to make a really nice habitat for him, and this is the only place left for me to build it. So, I'm going to start digging the ground, but before I make the floor, I'm going to mark where I'm going to build the walls. To make it even nicer, I'm going to put some andesite on the ground, and I'm going to build the walls with green concrete blocks. I'm going to add some details on top, and to make this wall even more detailed, I'm going to put some green terracotta blocks. Now I'm going to close this habitat with glass. And to finish, on the inside, I'm going to put some TNTs. And this is the final result of our construction. Of all the ones I built in this video, this is the simplest, and that's why I'm going to give my rating for the habitat a 6 out of 10. As for the alligator bombardino, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 because this is the best character I made in this video. And if you liked it, take the opportunity to comment below with your rating. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and watch this video that is appearing on the screen.